bei einer der schnellsten Spieler auf dem Planeten Erde, der Dutch Destroyer Vincent van der Voort. Vincent van der Voort fordert den Weltranglisten 14. heraus. Ein Spieler, der schon zweimal im WM-Viertelfinale stand, der 2017 seinen Sieg auf dem PDC-Circuit einfahren können. Der Demolition Man, Darren Webster.
Well, the evening session has got off to a stormer with Jeffrey de Zwaan finally getting a win over the world number 2. Rob Cross dumped out of the European Darts Grand Prix by a scoreline of 6-3 in a high-quality game that was high quality until the last leg, which went bonkers. More drama on the way, guaranteed tonight. We get to see Daryl Gurney, Mensur Suljovic, Adrian Lewis, Michael van Gerwen, Peter Wright, Max Hopp, and the other seeded player is this man right here, the demolition man, Darren Webster, seeded 15th here this weekend. He has not failed so far this year to get past this stage of a Euro Tour event and make it to the final day. Granted, he's only gone beyond the third round once, but he'll fancy his chances against Big Vincent. If it was a straight-up fist fight, I know where my money would be, but on the dartboard, it's a different matter, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah, just a bit. It is always a little bit
Okay,
comical.
ladies and gentlemen, first leg, Darren at throw first. Game on!
You see these guys next to each other. There's a difference of about 2 feet in height. But this ain't boxing, this ain't UFC, this is darts. Rather deliberate looking
21.
Darren Webster starts this match off. It's quite a statistic that he hasn't failed to win on a Saturday, because that's a lot of rank in Dosh.
21.
It is. In fact, the last time he went out at this stage of a Euro Tour was in September last year in the Dutch Darts
57.
Championship. He made the quarterfinals in Greece, the first time he'd ever made the quarterfinals of a Euro Tour after loads of times of reaching the last 16. Another last 16 after that, the European Darts Trophy.
16.
He's had 4 consecutive runs on the final day so far this year. And now this.
16.
Not bad for someone who's got a pretty dodgy arm. I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. He actually has a bit of an injury.
24.
But he's just plodding on with it. He knew that the 4 Euro Tours in a row which we've had, or are having, are very, very important for people's seasons, including his. And he didn't want to miss the party.
Well, do you know what? I've actually bigged him up there. Of course, last week he did go out this stage because he collapsed against Stephen Bunting, didn't he? So that's the one aberration that he's had in the last few months. Going the fancy way.
86.
But leaves himself tops, which is what he will leave where possible. Yeah, sorry, he got done 6-0 by Stephen Bunting at this stage last week in Austria.
Darren require 40.
But
yeah,
typically pretty consistent, let's say, over the last few months. Darren Webster at this stage.
Tops is his favourite.
Game shown, the first leg. Darren Webster,
He will not be
second leg,
whitewashed
Vincent
today.
through first.
Yeah, Graz wasn't a happy hunting ground for Darren. He had some flight trouble.
55.
And he was going home pretty soon after getting there. Probably want to forget about that event very quickly.
Well, plus he nearly knocked himself out by headbutting a wall, didn't he?
Never helps.
No, not ideal preparation for your game. Had very high hopes at the most recent World Championship, did Darren Webster, but they were ended by this man, Vincent van der Voort, and they were ended pretty brutally as well. It was a 3-0 drubbing he got at Ali Pali. And at that time, Darren Webster was genuinely thinking, well, not only could I think I can win the Worlds, but he also knew that a good run there, and he could be playing in the World Cup for England, he could be leapfrogging all kinds of players in the rankings. Now, as it was, Michael Smith was the man to go on and make the final. And that's why he'll be lining up to represent his country for the first time at the World Cup of Darts, alongside Rob Cross.
I'll be very interested to see Michael Smith at that tournament. It's always good to have some fresh blood there. See how they get on at that tournament, because it is very different to anything else.
Yeah, well, he did have high hopes of representing his country. He was picked for his country, or set to be picked for his country, playing in the BDO, and then they found out that he'd played some PDC stuff and immediately booted him out. And that has stuck with him. He was mentioning that on Thursday night.
160.
Darren's darts seem to be going in quite upright tonight.
60.
A bit of extra hover.
32.
But maybe talk about that later in the match if it continues. But 32 for Big Vinny. Well, it just goes to show how tall he is, because he can see that double eight over the top of that first blocker dart. Really, really good shot.
Yeah, it was all right yesterday against the Badger, Dave Prince, for Vincent van der Voort. He won that 164. It was an average in the low 90s. Seemed to get better as that game went on.
I get the feeling that Dave Prince let that game go, you know. He had it in the palm of his hand. He was 4-2 up. And from there, he just put the brakes on. Vincent is the kind of player that you cannot put the brakes on against. You see the angle of entry for the van der Voort dart, which I'm sure for someone of his stature, it looks very small. Angle of entry for Webster slightly less upright, because he's throwing from a different position. Go in very quickly, don't they? See how he crashes them against each other and they can move. Because that Seisel is manipulative.
100. Vincent, you require 98.
Where does he go if he gets to 60? Does he split or does he go? Depends on the first dart. Well, he's got to go to the 19s.
Oh, dear.
13.
Well, that's no help, Vincent.
118.
No shot double 19 for Darren Webster either.
Vincent, you require
but
85.
Vincent will be kicking himself that he's on 85.
This should have been easier, and he's missing big segments all over the place, Vincent van der Voort.
45.
He'd left 78 and he'd gone treble 20 for double 9,
yeah, he went the Simon Whitlock route. Double 12s there, and a catalogue of mistakes from the big man have gifted the chance back to Webster. And that was a really good chance to break through. From 98, he's thrown 6 darts and nowhere near a double.
60.
Yeah, and maybe that was his thinking about going back to the treble 20, because he got that position by scoring well in that leg. And yet, once he looked elsewhere in the board, he couldn't hit a thing.
99.
So knowing he needed a treble of some sort, that might have been his go-to one, but just a bit discombobulated, Big Vincent.
140.
Scoring is not really an issue for him at the minute.
Yeah, he's got very good English for a Dutchman. I think all Dutch people that I know got good English.
99.
I'm not sure he would know the word discombobulated.
No, he's probably got some rather more frank alternatives.
Very true. Do we even broach the subject of his interview yesterday?
Well, you can do. I mean, you know, we'd mentioned in the game yesterday when he was playing Dave Prince that he said that he wasn't a fan of the qualifying system.
58.
I don't think anybody quite expected him to come out and say that it was a joke and that Barry Hearn's not very good at sorting out ranking systems. But Vincent's gonna Vincent.
He's doing a bit of Ronnie O'Sullivan. Picking fights with the boss.
Vincent require 103.
Well, treble 20. Yes. Doesn't miss a big number this time.
Game
Doesn't
shot,
miss
the
the
full
double
flag.
either. Excellent
It's
check out from
Voort.
Vincent
Big
van der
flag
Voort.
down,
15
full
darter, 2 apiece.
It just goes to show that when you have a nightmare 6 darts and then the leg is over, you should then forget everything that's gone on, because his ability to bounce back there, Vincent, was absolutely brilliant.
Vincent does tend to beat Darren when they play. He's won 7 of their 11 meetings, and obviously the World Championship was a big one, their most recent one. He'd won before then as well. And this year he's had a couple of runs to quarterfinals on the Pro Tour. He hasn't gone beyond this stage of a Euro Tour, but this is only the second one he's played, which is kind of part of the reason why he's so annoyed about the system, where there are fewer spots for tour card holders from outside the UK. The Europe-based players, there are fewer opportunities for them to get in these tournaments, and as we've seen over the last month, the vast majority of PDC darts has been Euro Tour stuff. So if you're not qualifying for them, you're sat at home, you're not earning money.
No treble hit from Darren, but he gets the ball to leave tops. Big time Friday coming up. Qualifiers for the next 2. And qualifiers for the European guys, European tour card holders, and the UK-based guys. So huge day on Friday. Tops for Darren. Doesn't get there. And Vincent has a 3%er.
We are firmly in the other 97% in this instance.
41.
He thinks the leg is gone. May have to agree with him. That was a big flick off the nose with the flight there.
Game shown, the 5th flag.
Last week he managed to accidentally headbutt a wall.
First.
This week he nearly has the end of his nose off with his dart. He's an accident-prone little man.
Do you remember the dart player Tony David?
The Aussie,
Yeah,
the deadly boomerang.
deadly boomerang, former Lakeside champion. He used to bring his dart really close to his nose, and he had to be really careful, because the end of the flights, as you know, you've got a bit of a point on them, and if you whack them against your face or your nose hard enough, you can cause a bit of a scrape. Well, Tony had to be really careful because he was a haemophiliac. So if he had one of those Darren Webster nose bobbing moments on the flight and cut himself, he would have been going to hospital.
81.
Thank heaven that didn't happen during that incredible Lakeside campaign that saw him become the only Australian world champion, I think, in darts. Is that right? Yeah.
World champion, yes. Have been other Australian
96.
world winners, sort of, World Masters, and he won the World Trophy as well, Tony David.
Simon Whitlock, European champion. Some bloke won the
60.
Players' Championship finals as well. He claimed to be an Aussie.
Graham Hunt, he won the World Masters back in the mid-90s.
Oh, rescued. A bit of a pep talk for himself there, Vincent.
58.
Doesn't help him get the double.
122.
Danger for the Dutch destroyer. Oh, yeah.
That was not a good dart.
31.
None of them were they?
You require 36.
Double 18 then.
Game
Double nines
shot,
there.
the 6th flag.
I think that's a more awkward switch for someone like Vincent van der Voort or Jeffrey de Zwaan, because they play so fast. But it makes practice in the back really valuable, and if you are doing those transitions to other parts of the board, you've got to practice them if you're pacey. It's all well and good doing it at the same target all the time. It's very simple to keep the same eye line, but if you're going from double 18 to double 9, double 8 to double 4, and you're doing it fast, it's got to be perfectly timed. You're going to miss it by a mile.
121.
Well, Vincent does make this game look effortless when he's on form. He's just so simple, uncomplicated. Stand there, look at something, hit it. Exactly what he does there, attacking the Webster throw. Darren is first to a finish, but it is a big one. Vincent could leave himself something a little simpler, maybe a lot simpler. Maybe quite simple indeed.
Perfect. What a weirdly 42. And Darren's not going to get there. He's going to leave tops.
100. Vincent, you
But
require 42.
Van der Voort is in this position for one reason and one reason only. Sheer brilliance. Double 16. Absolutely magnificent. That's all you can say about that. The last 8 darts were nothing but perfect.
180, 180, single 10, double 16, 11 darter, first breaker throw in the match, advantage Van der Voort.
60.
The winner of this faces Gerwyn Price, who looked in ominously brilliant form earlier on this afternoon. 6-1 win over Gavin Carlin, the debutant, averaging more than 103 in the process.
Well, that was the standout leg of this contest. Everything between 15 and 18 darts, which is steady. Well, that 11 just goes to show what you need sometimes to break your opponent.
94.
You need a bit of brilliance, and that was absolutely wonderful.
And there you see, there's so little between them, but that one superb leg from Vincent Van der Voort has given him a chance to win this game. He needed to find a break from somewhere, and the way they were going, they could have played out all 11 legs with 11 holes to throw. With nobody doing anything spectacular, but Vincent has changed that with that 11 darter. He's under pressure on his own throw here, but look at this response.
Well, one thing we do have to say, Dan, is how big a game is this for Vincent? We can touch on that in the next leg. Now, Darren misses the 60 there, but that quick dart that he has sometimes, amazing how many times he gets the treble with it. This is a huge shot. He's got to be really careful here. Can't go anywhere near that flight. Now he's got to go back. He's out of rhythm. So this is like a first dart all over again.
80. Darren requires
One dart miss for 5-3 to consolidate the break. Webster strides up to the board. Gets one at tops. It's all he needs.
Darren Webster. 9th leg. Darren a throw first.
Yeah, this is a huge game for Vincent Van der Voort. He is currently not in a world match play spot, but he is in striking distance. He needs ranking points, and he needs them in the next 5 weeks. All the way up to the Czech Republic event in Prague, where we're going for the first time. We will talk about the match play race a lot. Not so much this weekend, but in June we will talk about it an awful lot. But things will be very evident after Friday at the qualifiers. We will know who's in events and who's got guaranteed cash as we get the 100th 180 of the weekend. But Van der Voort needs points this weekend, and he needs to qualify on Friday as well.
Yeah, Friday looks absolutely enormous in the context of these guys' seasons. So many players looking to make it to the Blackpool for the first time in their careers. Some we know are going to be there, the likes of Ricky Evans, Glenn Durrant looking pretty much nailed on.
Well, if we dial ourselves back a bit, how much does Vincent want to play in Zwolle this month?
Same for Roman van Barneveld in that respect. Only one Euro Tour in the Netherlands this year.
It's because the World Series finals are going to Amsterdam.
60.
This game has changed.
64.
Webster has somehow, after that 75 checkout, changed the complexity of this game.
32.
And Vincent needs a 161 potentially to stay in with a shot of winning it.
It's just too much. And he's had the 11 darter, and then he's reverted to those sort of
32.
15 to 18 dart legs. And Darren Webster, it's good enough for him to hold his throw with a 16 darter. He is one leg away from a 5th career victory over Vincent Van der Voort, and it would be his first win over Vincent since May last year.
He's talking to himself. Darren Webster.
First sign of madness, that. Well, in Darren's case, probably not the first.
See that Vincent, he Almost bites his tongue as he throws. Every player's different. They have their little idiosyncrasies.
34.
Do whatever you need to do to make sure you're in prime nick for playing darts. He needs all three. Well, he left a bogey number, but he fancied himself to get that 60.
Now Webster, sure he's going to leave a finish. Yes, 180 to leave the 1-2-7. Vincent cannot go out. He only has himself to blame.
92.
92 scored, put some pressure on, but Darren Webster, treble 20. Oh, and the chance goes.
Well, that slip from Van der Voort to the treble 4 was not a bad miss.
Vincent requires
because
74.
this way he still gets one dart at a double, surely.
Well, a lot of players will go 14s here to leave double 16, but then you have to go 20 tops if you only hit the single. He does get two at double 16. He needed them both, but he pins it.
That's experience. What a really good game this has been. Averages just over the 91 and 92 mark respectively, but a really good tussle. And has Van der Voort got one more little blitz in him, or can Darren defend his throw one more time?
Only the third time that we've seen a game go the distance this weekend. And Vincent van der Voort has fired in his third maximum to give him the edge.
60.
Joe Cullen, seeded player, went out to Mark McGeaney 6-5. Ian White held on against Dimitri Vandenberg but survived match darts.
Slip.
Oh no.
31.
Slip from Van der Voort.
180, 31.
And this is going to put salt in the wound.
99.
One treble only after getting a 60 with dart 1. That's a result for Vincent. Needs to get back on that scoring train.
43.
Oh no.
That particular train is still stuck at the station, I'm afraid, Vincent. And Darren Webster might be hijacking it and tearing off into the distance because he's left himself 107. Vincent whacked in a 180 in this leg. It looked like it might be decisive. He has followed it up with absolutely nothing. And Darren Webster is being ushered through to the final day.
Got to be patient here, Darren.
75.
Or you could just hit a 54 with your last dart and set up what you want. Looks really rushed, that visit. It's almost like he's going towards that victory gate and it's shutting.
32.
Well, Darren Webster. The gate might be shut, but he's still scuttled underneath it. The little man beats the big man. And the number 15 seed, Darren Webster, comes through the last leg decider to set up a clash with Gerwyn Price. Once again, the Demolition Man is through to the final day on the European Tour.
Vincent van der Voort scheidet aus. Und der Demolition Man steht im Achtelfinale. Wird dort es morgen mit Gerwyn Price zu tun bekommen. Whew. Darren, a close one. Congratulations. That was not easy to win that one, huh?
No, he beat me at Christmas. He's a big one, mate. He's a big one. You know what I mean? I like losing to big ones, but there you go.
Makes it any difference to be tall or a little bit smaller?
No, that give me the motivation. When they come up here 19 foot tall, I want to just give it to them, do you know what I mean? That's what I do. So, my arm's getting better now. I'm starting to get back to where I am. Rest of the year looking good. So, I'm back.
That's cool. Good news. Gerwyn Price, I think, is the next one tomorrow. He played a brilliant match today.
Yeah, I got to be back tomorrow. I'll put my muscle suit on.
See you tomorrow, Darren. Thank you very much.
First time in 3 months.
Darren Webster. Er sagt hier am Ende, ich kann dir wieder richtig die